In this video, I'm going to talk about what I like to call the urgency trap or the neediness trap. You can feel free to think of them as either one, because essentially in this context they mean the exact same thing. So what do I mean specifically about the urgency trap? Well, the mindset that a lot of men get into when they're looking for a girlfriend or someone that they would want to date and be in a long-term relationship with, it's very easy for a lot of men to get excited by that idea, and understandably so. Now the issue is women are looking for men too. You know, the dating world and the dating industry wouldn't exist if there wasn't mutual interest on both sides. But men in particular, we tend to be very logical creatures. We like to think in terms of A to B, B to C, so on and so forth. A lot of men, therefore, tend to view a dating relationship or conversations with a woman in a very transactional nature. Like you ask a question and you get a response, or she asks a question and you give her some information, or you answer the question. Now, that is a big part of what can lead to the urgency trap, but it's just one part. So keep that in mind. We'll come back to that later. But another big part, and probably the biggest part of what causes a lot of men to get stuck in this trap of like everything is starting to feel urgent, is men tend to approach dating, especially if you're watching this video right now and you're like, hey, that's me. I've been struggling with finding traction with women and really just getting kind of the outcomes that I want to get. Don't worry, you're definitely not alone in that. If you're one of those men, don't worry, it's a very common place to be, but this video is going to help you get out of that mindset so that you don't view everything as urgent, or you don't view your conversations with women as things that are coming across like it's urgent. So what's really at the root of this? Let's break it down. So women are used to getting attention from men all day. It's something that they typically start to get around their teenage years or into college, oftentimes even earlier than that. The way, especially in American society, but definitely globally too, the way that men typically operate is men are very visual. They like to go after attractive women. They like to try to talk to and hit on attractive women. And so women learn at a very young age in society that their looks are what is garnering them attention. Now, some men struggle with loneliness too. It goes beyond just looks, but as far as social currency is concerned, women get used to the feeling and the reality of getting a lot of attention from men early on in life. For men, that's very much not the case. Men typically don't start to get consistent attention, if they're getting any attention at all, from women until after their college years, often when they're in the workplace, they're starting to build their career, they're starting to make a name for themselves. Once they have a place of their own and a car, things like that, a lot of the kind of external status symbols of our world, if you will, tend to work in men's favors, at least in a traditional sense. There's obviously a lot of things out there that you can do and be that can convey your status or your perceived status, but material wealth, regardless of your religious beliefs, material wealth continues to be at least an external sign of someone's status in the world. So where am I going with all this? Well, women basically, because they get attention from men at a much younger age, and that continues well throughout many, many years of their lives, women tend to subconsciously feel like there's no rush. If they are actually interested in a woman, if a woman is actually interested in a man, she is probably not going to rush into that conversation or that pursuit. She knows that there's a lot of different men out there. If she's really interested in someone, she will try to make that known in her own ways. And it's definitely, there's always women who are interested in men, there's always men who are interested in women. But if a woman is interested in a particular man, she's going to definitely make that known, just like a man would with a woman. Now, society and dating is also set up, at least traditionally, in that men are kind of supposed to be the pursuers. They're supposed to be the ones who are asking a woman out on a date, going over to talk to her at a bar or at a social event, they are the ones who socially pursue, and women are the ones who socially respond. And so in that regard, women also get used to the fact that they will have a lot of suitors, they'll have a lot of people interested in them, and they get to pick and choose. When you have a variety of options available to you, whether that's with food to eat or clothing to wear, or in this case, people to talk to, nothing feels urgent or pressured because you have the opportunity to respond when and how you want to, if you even want to respond. Women have this experience for years of their lives, and it starts very early on, but men have the opposite. They typically have the burden of reaching out to a woman, trying to see if she's interested, having to deal with rejection if they're not going to be, if they don't get the outcome that they want. So what does that cause? It causes men to basically feel like when they are finally getting the attention or a response from a woman who they find attractive or someone who they could see themselves in a future dating relationship with, everything starts to feel urgent, even if they don't want it to be that way, and even if the woman doesn't want it to be that way. And I can tell you for sure, women do not like being rushed. Women absolutely hate the feeling of pressure or as though they have to do something. You never want to do something as a guy that would be knowingly or unknowingly pressuring a woman into doing anything, whether that's responding to you, going on a date, hanging with her friends, hanging with your friends, whatever it is, right? Because if a woman feels pressured, she's not able to relax into the feminine, basically. She's not able to be in her frame as a woman. And so when there's a deadline and there's pressure, especially if it's something happening in a romantic environment, it starts to lose that flow, and she will not feel safe around you, or she won't feel confident about talking to you. It'll feel very forced and awkward if you're doing something that makes a woman feel pressured, or as though something's urgent. So you want to avoid that at all costs. So let's go ahead and get into it. How do you as a man resolve this so that you're not feeling pressured and that you're not pressuring her? The first tip is, if you are feeling pressured or as though something is urgent, that is coming from you. It has to come from somewhere. If two people are just hanging out, enjoying the afternoon with each other, they're friends, they've known each other for a while, chances are there's already going to be a pretty relaxed environment, because when people know each other, they let their guard down. There's typically a little bit less eye contact. People feel free to just express themselves as they are, things like that. And that's generally where you want things to go in that direction long term with a woman that you're interested in pursuing romantically. But if you're feeling as though something is urgent, that is coming from you. It is extremely rare that a woman will ever try to pressure a man to kind of move faster or get with the program, unless she's very needy or desperate or looking for something, right? That goes against the female nature to move things along very quickly and to treat romance as though it's transactional. Now, there's a lot of good men out there. This video isn't just about ragging on men or making it seem like they are, the ones causing the problems all the time or anything like that. There's a lot of good men, because men don't necessarily want things to be pressured or rushed either. And sometimes men will actually be in the position of feeling like the woman is trying to push things along faster than they feel comfortable with. So there's always the possibility of that. But it's rare, basically, for women to ever kind of push or rush men. It's typically a trap that men fall into. So if you're feeling like something is rushed, it's coming from you. Second, if you are rushing the conversation, if you're constantly asking her, hey, when can we meet up? I'm ready to take you on a date. How soon are you free? Something like that. If that type of, language and questions are coming out within a very short period of time, it's tricky to say, because not every conversation is going to have the same flow, but you could make the case that many do. if you're constantly pushing her for like, hey, when are you free so we can, go out on Friday night, something like that, she is going to notice that, and she's either going to, even if she likes you and is starting to like you, she is going to wonder why you're pushing her so quickly, and she's probably not going to respond very well to it. She's probably going to either stop responding, or she might wait to see if you stop responding, and then she might pick it up later. But either way, you've already you've done the opposite of what you want to do. You've slowed down the conversation to the point where there's no longer momentum or a sense of like you're getting to know each other at a natural pace. So if you can slow yourself down and realize, hey, I should not be going at this particular pace, then she will feel relaxed as well. If there's no pressure to meet any sort of deadline or to do anything by a particular time, that is exactly where you want to be. Now, obviously, in order to date someone or make plans, you have to be able to set up a time. You don't want to just, you can wing it. You could just see if each other are free and basically say, hey, what are you doing Saturday afternoon? I'm free. I didn't think I would be, something like that. There's always the possibility that you can just kind of do whatever, whenever, but there's a difference between pushing her and ultimately pushing both of you to commit to a specific action by a particular time versus making actual plans. There's nothing wrong with making plans. You have to in order to be able to go on any sort of scheduled date. And that allows you time to kind of get your ducks in a row and prepare everything and be ready for the date itself. She will want that too. But that moment has to come about naturally. It's not something that you can just force upon either of you. So the next point is, you've probably heard a lot of people say over the years, if it's meant to happen, it'll just happen, right? And that's not necessarily false, but I don't like that phrase because it leads to people thinking that real relationships don't take any effort, and that couldn't be further from the truth. Real relationships always take effort. Even if you're a good fit for someone and they're a great fit for you, that does not mean that it's just going to fall into place effortlessly. Like you're never going to have to do anything to invest in the relationship or hold each other accountable or anything like that. But what I like to say instead of that is nothing fulfilling happens quickly. Nothing fulfilling happens quickly. And that's true. A lot of both men and women can get ideas in their minds of like, if they're talking with someone online or they're getting to know someone, they can lead that to be a sort of mental path where they start to fantasize about who this person is even though they've just met them. And that's an issue because you don't want to pre-create an idea of who someone is before you've even allowed them the chance to share who they are and all that good stuff. So you have to remember that even if you're starting to see a lot of potential with someone, nothing fulfilling happens quickly. You're going to get to know them, and you should get to know them over a period of weeks, months, and years to see if you are just as compatible as you think you are. And it allows them to get to know you too. Even if you're excited about someone, you should want to be known and loved yourself in a relationship, not just have the opportunity to love someone else. So you have to give these things time and allow them to be nurtured and grown naturally. So all this sounds good in theory, right? Basically, don't rush yourself, don't rush her, let things develop naturally, invest yourself in the relationship. And these things are good, but how do you actually apply it in a practical sense? Well, I have 5 points that will basically break this down for you. So point number 1, don't allow your excitement to come across as being needy. So it's very easy for men to feel excited when they come across an attractive woman's profile picture on her dating profile. It's very easy for men to start to think like, wow, she must be amazing because her pictures are amazing. Now that could be true, but character and personality is a lot more than looks. Looks are important, or as I like to say, looks get you in the door, but character keeps you there. And that's definitely true of both men and women. It's not unheard of for women to be ogling over an attractive guy. It's probably less common than men doing that with women, but women definitely like attractive men too. It's not unheard of. It's definitely a factor in our world. It's probably not the most important thing that women look for in a guy, but it's still relevant. So you don't want to let your excitement come across as neediness. When you're messaging someone, you're browsing through the profiles, right? You want to remember that there's a real live human being behind the picture. It can be very easy to see an attractive face and that becomes all that you think about with that person. And that doesn't allow either of you to get to know each other when there's actual traction in messages and being able to set up a first date with that person. You also don't want to message someone too quickly, and we'll get more to that later, but you have to be in a position as a man that recognizes any woman you talk to at any point may or may not work out. You don't want to make an interaction bigger than it is, and you don't want to make one less than it is either. You want to just allow yourself to experience these interactions with women, whether it's messaging them for the first time on a dating app or going out on a date, several dates, seeing them in different contexts. You want to just really allow it to, you want to really marinate in it and just see a person for who they are. Ask them questions, answer questions of your own. Take them to something formal, take them to something informal. Do something spontaneous, do something planned. You want to see people, you want to see her for who she is, and you want to allow her to see you for who you are. This is kind of just this real life experiential data that you can't get anywhere else. So number 2, that's essentially it, is you want to enjoy the process of getting to know someone. I don't really have a lot to add there because I already covered it. It was just kind of a natural segue from point number 1. But you can't ever believe that someone's profile is the sum of who they are. You have to be willing and able, and hopefully they are too at some point, to meet up with you in real life, do more than texting and exchanging, pictures and stuff like that. There's just so much more to a person, and it's something that's gotten lost in our digital world, especially coming out of COVID. Obviously, COVID makes it difficult for people to date, and that was not at all an easy time for anyone. But that doesn't mean that when lockdowns are removed and things like that, that you just keep doing the same things you were doing during COVID. You have to be willing and able to get back out there and have fun with people and do things that you would have done before, or maybe things that you haven't done before because maybe COVID was coincidentally one of the first times you tried to date, right? But you don't want to let that stand in the way of getting to know someone. So give yourself plenty of time to get to know them and give them time to know you. Number 3, respond about twice as slowly as she does. So this is what I was getting at earlier, where you want to give yourself time to respond, but there's an interesting psychological thing happening here too. You don't want to respond too quickly when you're speaking with a woman for the first time through a dating app. There's a couple reasons for this. Number 1, the faster you respond, the more available it makes you look. And women want someone who is not super available. They want to know that the man that they're potentially getting romantically involved with is someone who has other things going on in his life. You're someone that has employment or a source of income, or you're someone that has a social circle. You're someone that takes care of yourself. You exercise, you go on bike rides, you go hiking, you do physical activities, things like that. And just that you have a sense of what you enjoy and what your purpose is in life. You don't have to have your entire act together or to be doing perfectly in every area of your life in order for women to want to speak with you. But you do have to convey that you're a man with a solid head on your shoulders and that you have a basic sense of where your life is going. Ideally, the more clarity you have on that, the better. But yeah, if you respond too quickly, it kind of subtly conveys that you might not have a lot going on in your life. And as a result, she might think like, oh, he's just waiting for me to respond all the time. And no one wants to feel like that, right? Like if you put yourself in the woman's shoes, it is very easy to see why women think that way and why anyone would think that way. If you had someone who was just constantly responding to you, waiting for you to meet up, you probably wouldn't be very excited about that because they're just always available, they're always there. So the same thing has to hold true for you. The other thing too is, point number 2 I should say, is women want someone who is just slightly out of reach, and that is actually kind of another point here in my list. But if you respond a couple hours later or even more than a day later, it shows that you are a man of value, at least on a fundamental level. It shows that you are doing things with your life. You're either working on projects that you're passionate about yourself, or you're doing something that you can't just drop your commitments at a moment's notice, right? It shows that you actually have things that make your life a manly life, so to speak. Women don't want to be around someone who's just doesn't have anything going for them. It's not exciting, it's not sexy or romantic. It shows that you're kind of just lazy and that you're just hoping for your life to get better one day instead of having a plan and actually working towards it, which is a very masculine thing to do, and a lot of women are attracted to that. So respond about twice as slowly as she does. The next point is you want to make the most of the rest of your week. So obviously, like being on the dating apps and stuff, it's a time commitment, right? You have to be willing to sift through the profiles, swipe left, swipe right, send messages in order to find a sense of momentum. But it's very easy to get trapped in there forever. Not literally forever, but trapped in there for hours, days even sometimes, if you're not doing other things with your life. You're not working out, you're not making food, things like that, right? So you have to be able to have other things going on in your life. If you're constantly checking the apps at the same times, like Friday and Saturday nights, for example, try checking it Sunday night instead, or try checking Tuesday afternoon. Change things up a bit so that you're not falling into a rut and just putting yourself in a position where you're just waiting for someone to respond. Women are typically not going to respond right away either, and if you respond later and you're just not checking the apps too often, it allows you to just have a proper rhythm in life and feel like you haven't given up all of your free time to checking the apps and the messages. Point 5, kind of like I mentioned earlier, women want a man who is a catch. If you're slightly out of reach, you're seen as more valuable. So this is crucial because, like I said before, women want a man who has a plan for his life and is working towards it every single day. That is a very powerful thing. It shows that you value your time, that you're not just sitting around waiting for someone else to choose you and make your life amazing. It shows that you could do the same for others, that you could lead and guide. Women greatly value a man who can step into a position, whether it's a work position or something in the community or school or religious groups, anything, or the family. Step into a position and be able to lead confidently, not arrogantly, not where you feel like you know all the answers all the time and that you're offended when other people disagree with you, but that you have a very just firm sense of the right direction to go. Women love a man who can lead. It's just there's something deeply biological about it, and there's just something deeply truthful about it, because in order for a woman to be in her frame and to be fully relaxed and feminine, she has to have her needs provided just like you need to have your needs provided for. So women feel relaxed when a man leads because it allows her to quite literally relax, but to also feel like she's safe and that there's no one out there who is going to mess with that sense of security, peace, and calm, because she knows that if there is a problem, you'll not only be willing to step in, but that you will step in and do your best to solve it. So, I know that was a bit of a longer video, but those are my 5 tips for getting out of the urgency trap and recognizing, hey, I'm a man who has a good life going for me. I have other things I'm passionate about other than just speaking to women and getting to know someone on a romantic level, and I'm not rushing myself to respond because I see that if there is potential, it's something that can grow naturally. Nothing fulfilling happens quickly, and it's just an opportunity to get to know someone and see if she's as interested in me as I am in her. And ultimately that's the mindset and the frame that you want to be in as a man. If you like this video, first of all, I want to thank you for watching it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to the channel so you can see more videos like this in the near future. And if you're watching this video and you're thinking, hey, like, all this sounds good, Brad, but I could really use more tips, or I could use like a personalized approach to help me understand how to talk to women better, get more matches on dating apps, or have the confidence to ask someone out and have a plan to follow up with that, not just have the confidence to ask someone out, go ahead and click the link in the description below to book a call with me. I can help you overcome your fears. I can help you get rid of the fear of rejection and just understand, hey, there's a lot of opportunities out there, and be able to reframe your output and your experience as a man so that you can start to attract the woman that you've always wanted. So again, go ahead and click the link below to book a call, and look forward to hearing from you if you do so. Otherwise, I will see you in the next video.